I'm Seth Fineberg, and I am really excited today to talk to a good friend and a colleague in the industry, Nancy McClelland, CPA, often known as the dancing accountant, Dancing Nancy, many titles for Nancy. We've got a really great topic today too, but Nancy, why don't you just introduce yourself really briefly to the folks chiming in here.
Seth, thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of the work that you do, and of course, a big fan of Ace Cloud as well. And so it was just really lovely when you asked if I would help you out with this. And for those who don't already know me, yes, the dancing accountant, it's not just a moniker, it's actually the name of my CPA firm. Hyper local CPA firm, 25 years in our little neighborhood in Chicago. And it's kind of interesting because even though we're a hyper local firm, we are also 100% remote and always have been. And so I will pop in and meet with clients at their, at their restaurants and their bars and their cafes and their stores. And it's a lot of fun. But my team is a team of 9 of us in all. I'm the only full-time person. They're spread all across the United States. And we have a really wonderful company culture, and we're super proud of the work we do to keep our neighborhood vibrant and healthy. And in addition to that, I've got 2 pretty important projects, which I know we'll talk about a little bit. Yes. I founded Ask a CPA, which is a community for bookkeepers who want to learn how to prepare tax-ready books. And I am the co-host of the She Counts podcast, Real Talk for Women in Accounting.
It's fantastic, and I've gotten to see that recorded live.
Yeah, recorded live.
And that was really something. So today, I think you are the perfect candidate to dive into this topic. We want to talk about moving from technician to trusted advisor. Now, a lot of CPAs already feel like, well, this is why they do what they do. This is their role, but confidence is something that I think maybe you talk about on She Counts and even Ask a CPA. Building confidence and authority in modern accounting. Obviously, the profession right now is definitely at an inflection point. One of several that have happened over the past 3 decades or so under my watch. So one central theme in our discussion here, again, confidence. It's a major factor that often keeps accounting professionals from making moves that they know they need to make to improve their practices and consequently their lives, let's be honest.
I couldn't agree more.
I know that you've seen this in a lot of your work with the members of your Ask a CPA community. Can you share with us, where does that even begin? Where's the starting point?
First, Seth, I just want to say thank you for having these conversations out loud where people can hear them, because I think we often feel like we're the only one with a lot of different things, confidence being one of them, right? Like we're the only ones who don't have confidence, and everybody else, look at that person out there on social media, look at that person,
it's such a human thing.
It is. It's like one of the most natural emotions ever to have that fear. And so I think when you say, where does it begin? It begins with realizing that confidence isn't a personality trait. It's a byproduct, I believe. It's a byproduct of clarity. It's a byproduct of education. It's a byproduct of experience. And what I see inside Ask a CPA is that most professionals, they're not lacking ambition. It's this sense of certainty that they're lacking. So if you don't know you're right, and you're in our profession, being wrong can be really expensive. It can be a very bad thing. And so you hesitate because you're not sure if you're right or not. And so the shift toward confidence, in my experience, both with the Ask a CPA members and with the conversations that we're having on She Counts, the shift happens when we start asking better questions. We get grounded in authoritative answers. We have these conversations out loud, like what you're doing. We get to see how others think through similar situations. I know you and I are both huge fans of the Bridging the Gap conference, and this is something they do really well. Right? So you get a bunch of panelists up there, a bunch of people who are like really running their firms. And one of them says, well, I don't know. I didn't know the answer, so I solved the problem this way. And somebody else is like, well, I didn't know the answer either, and so I solved the problem this way. And somebody else says, well, I came up in a firm that solved it this way, but I knew I didn't want to do it that way, so I reacted against it, right? So like so many different perspectives. It makes you feel less alone. It makes it so that you're no longer guessing, right? It's Misty Mejia talks about this a lot in theater public speaking. Confidence isn't a feeling. It's something you learn by doing. And when we don't feel like we're faking it, right, we can lean into the professional relationships that we've built with clients who trust us. And you can say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out. And then that is a kind of confidence to be able to say
that. Just saying those words out loud, hearing yourself say that, going, you know what? I don't know.
I don't know.
But I'm going to find out.
But I have a professional network. I have colleagues. I have resources. I'm not alone. I can find out. And so you learn by hearing these diverse perspectives. You learn by asking questions. You learn by being open and pushing through the fear to be able to say, I don't know. And then you have the experience so that the next time you get that question, you do know. And the next time you see a situation where a client might need advisory services, you're like, hey, I can help. And we exercise that muscle.
Right. So you would mention that you do have some of these discussions on She Counts on the podcast. So what concerns have you heard from other practitioners who are comfortable, but enough red flags have gone off over the last sort of few tax seasons to know maybe it's time to work better towards this idea of modern accounting?
Okay, I feel really seen here because I am one of those people, right? Like my firms, we've been around 25 years, right? We've been around 25 years. People are like, oh, you're so progressive. I'm like, oh, you have no idea how much legacy stuff we still have sitting around. We do.
Hiding the paper.
Yeah, well, no, we are really good about being paperless. I live in Mexico for 4 months of the year during tax season. That's where I am right now. So we have to be paperless. That part I've got figured out. But there are other things I don't have figured out, right? Nobody has everything figured out. It's just impossible. And so like I was saying earlier, there are these diverse perspectives out there, and I listen to my colleagues and I go, okay, well, this is something that is inefficient, or this is something that drives me crazy. What are my colleagues doing to fix these problems? And I ask for their help. And little by little over the years, things get better and better and better and better. And we're always looking for that.
So leaning on others. That
incremental improvement. But the word I hear over and over, when I hear somebody say comfortable, it's usually followed by like comfortable but exhausted, comfortable but unsure if like your processes would hold up if like your colleagues were looking at it, comfortable but like look at how much cleanup and rework there is during tax season, or comfortable but there's tension with your, the bookkeepers that you collaborate with, or there's tension if you're a bookkeeper with the tax pros that you collaborate with. And so to go back to what I keep saying about the work that you're doing, Seth, we try to do this on She Counts and in Ask a CPA as well. We say it out loud, right? We look at the patterns behind what's going on here, books that aren't truly tax ready, or workflows that grew, and this is where I'm gonna, call myself out, grew organically instead of intentionally. So stuff's like really pasted together. And a lot of professionals, honestly, carrying more responsibility than they've maybe been trained for. And so you mentioned red flags. I would argue these red flags, if you look at them, they look really dramatic, like sudden red flags. But if you kind of pull it apart, no, they're cumulative, Seth. They're cumulative. It's little things building up through the years, right? And so eventually, like when it becomes dramatic, like they're forcing a decision. They force you to either keep patching or to step into something more intentional. Yeah. And again, I say this because I'm there too. Conferences like Bridging the Gap have helped me realize that there are better ways to do this. And every time I come home, I'm picking a couple things that I learned and I'm implementing them. And so I feel like the concerns, when I'm hearing concerns from other practitioners who are like comfortable, but ... that's what it is. It's this kind of like cumulative build up over the years of patching things together. And when we're intentional about it, we can put a pause and say, this isn't working as well as it should be. Who do I need to talk to or to listen to help me figure out what that next step should be?
Right. So we brought up the idea of modern accounting. It's kind of in the, our discussion today. When you hear that term, let's
like
kind of
the
define
modern
it
accounting,
a
that phrase.
Yeah, like what what do you think of, and what does it mean to you?
Well, I'll go back to.
And you consider yourself a modern.
I consider us a modern firm. We've got a lot of legacy. Sort of vestigial organs. We got like an appendix here that probably needs to come out, and something over there that needs reworking for sure. But the fact that I can live in Mexico during tax season, the fact that we've got a strong company culture, even though we're fully remote, the fact that we have built our firm first and foremost on trust and personal relationships, and that's
sounds like you're working how you want to work, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I think that's a great, I'm going to go back to the word intentional, like we were just saying. I think modern accounting, is about being intentional about how we build our practices to the end that you're describing. You own the firm that it looks the way you want it to look, right? And so that's going to depend on, it's how we structure our workflows. It's how we price our services. That's really important. How we define the role that we want to play for our clients. Like, who do we want to be? I was telling Liz Farr, who's also on the advisory board of Bridging the Gap. I was telling her that on an episode of The Disruptors that I want to be the person my clients come to first. That's my definition. It doesn't have to be your definition. But for my firm, being a modern accounting firm means I get to define that, and then I intentionally work toward that goal. And technology supports that. Absolutely, sure. It has to, but it's not the point, right? It's not the point. The point is to create the space to focus on what actually distinguishes us from everyone else, which it's the relationship with the client.
And then the tools and things like that to support how you want to work.
Absolutely. I mean, if the technology isn't there, we can't do what we're doing. If I can't have hosted tax software, I can't live in Mexico during tax season, right? Like, it's as simple. I can't be speaking at all of these conferences and doing the education that I'm doing on She Counts or with Ask a CPA if I'm tethered to legacy technology. Like, the technology is important, but the technology is the foundation to support these goals that we're trying to reach, which is all about these personal relationships, which is where I will argue this is where the advisory comes from. Our clients trust us. They want to ask us more questions. We realize they need help. We can see what's going on. We can offer. And so part of that is also how we collaborate, right? Like, with our clients, with our professionals, like other professionals, our colleagues, with each other and our teams. And so it's very important that everyone involved has clarity, like I started out with, and also confidence, which you started out with. And when the operational side is working
big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. We're not buried in the work. We're present for the client. And I think that leads to better decisions. I think it leads to more meaningful value, more sustainable lives for us and our teams, all the things that you led with here, Seth.
Speaking of the work, Nancy, you make the point in She Counts about shifting from doing the work to guiding clients more strategically. That's where, the big A advisory comes in.
The big A.
The big A. Tell me more about that and what's involved from a practical point of view.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think
that seems to be where things are kind of moving.
It is where things are moving. I mean, I think
or
you speak about us being, or non-organically.
Non-organically,
you speak about us being
some people need a
modern
nudge,
accounting firm. Yeah. So I mentioned that we're modern in some ways and legacy in others, right? Like I think it's pretty doubtful unless you get to start your firm from scratch today and you've done all the research and you've been in all the groups for a long time. It's really hard to have all of the things be like, this is the modern firm. But one thing for us really early on, where we were very different, very progressive compared to my colleagues was, we started this firm 25 years ago with the full arc of services, which was very unusual back then. Like now it's much more common to do the bookkeeping, accounting, tax, and advisory all as one package for the client. It was very unusual 25 years ago. And that's because I didn't come up in a CPA firm. So I didn't know this is how it's always been done. Like that, I didn't have that. And it just made sense to me. That whole
mental state of, this is how it's been done. And
exactly. And so I didn't have that. And so I was able to design it from the ground up the way I thought it made the most sense. And part of that was having a shift that happened when, again, we have a hyper local practice. So I'm close with my clients because these are the restaurants where we go eat. This is my local grocery co-op. This is my favorite little shop. These are the people we hire for professional services. So I have these close relationships with them. And there came a shift where I stopped seeing my role as completing tasks and started seeing it as interpreting the information. So I'll always say it starts with cleaner books. If you don't have clean books, then none of this happens. None of this can work. Compliance is important. We have to make that happen first. But if we're not taking that next step and understanding what matters inside those books, asking, what decisions is my client trying to make? What do they need from me to make them well? And inside Ask a CPA, I see this transformation happen. It's so neat because I get to sort of watch, like a teacher maybe might with their students. I get to watch this transformation happen.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, they move mentally. They move from how do I categorize this to what does this mean? And honestly, the second that you start asking that question, what does this mean? That's the moment when you're stepping into the big A, as you call it, advisory. Not because you've added those services. You haven't necessarily said, we are now offering advisory service. And it's not about that. Do you need to call it that so that you can price that way? Yes, I recommend that. But you've probably stepped into advisory without realizing it because you've deepened your thinking.
Or charge for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Nancy, as we're kind of winding down our conversation, I did want to not forget the topic of we touched on technology a little bit. As you mentioned yourself, it helps you do not only what you do task-wise, but just function and have the kind of firm that you want. So, how did technology and I guess operational clarity, free professionals to step into that advisory type of role?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be done without technology. I'm gonna argue that, especially in the day of AI. There's just it's all around us, and it's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. I know there's a lot of frustrations with technology as well, but the benefits far outweigh the negatives because when your systems are consistent and your workflows are defined, and you're not spending all of your energy figuring out what comes next? What do I do next? You're free to think. right? And in the age of AI, that matters even more, because if we can use technology to become faster and more automated and pull away the drudge work, that means that the real value we're providing for our clients, that's shifting to judgments and relationships and communication. I actually have a talk.
Sounds very human to me.
It is very human.
All worried about more technology taking over things.
No, it's more human, Seth. I really think that we've got it wrong when we're like, oh, technology's taking over. No, technology is taking away the stuff we don't want to be doing, and it's leaving us room. I have a talk where I refer to this as, so a lot of people I've heard them say tech or touch. And I'm like, no, it's tech for touch. And that is so important. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I should trademark that, because I'm really happy with it, because it's like, it grounds me. It really grounds me, like when, I'm going to use Ace Cloud as an example here, but like when I know that they've got my back and I'm not spending time on IT, which I am very not gifted in, by the way, it's like not my bag there. When I know that they've got my back and my tools are where I need them to be, they're accessible the way I need them to be, the workflows are set up properly. Like, I imagine the weight lifted, imagine the headspace cleared for me to be able to do what I do. And it's similar with products that are actually helping us provide the tax advisory work, or helping us find affordable lending. So, tools like ProConnect has got a really excellent tax advisor tool in it that's included with your ProConnect tax prep. That's like amazing. We didn't have those kinds of things. We were doing these things like really manually. We were basically duplicating a tax return and typing in new numbers, and you know what I mean?
Right.
So tools like that and tools like Worthy are amazing, because they like look at the whole, they look at a bunch of things that are outside the financials that I would not have thought to look for. And that's helpful with advisory. It's helpful with helping them find affordable lending, like the least expensive loan for the needs that they have. I mean, I could name so many pieces of technology right now that I'm like, if I didn't have these, I literally could not provide these services. So remember, my services are what are the client's goals? How can we help them get there? That's what I'm providing. The technology makes delivering those possible.
Excellent. And on that note, Nancy, thank you so much. I know you have a lot more to add. Definitely.
I could talk to you all day long,
all
Seth,
day
honestly.
about this, because we're passionate about it. We want to see the profession move forward in the best ways. Check out
the profession is. I'll interrupt to say the profession is changing, whether we're ready or not. Right. So. Totally. Let's embrace this and actually help us use this, not to be like afraid of the technology, but to recognize technology is your friend. It helps you do the best job you possibly can, and it helps you charge more so that you and your team can have a more sustainable firm, right? Like that your work is meaningful and your work is manageable. So I take that as like a wrap this all up and tie it up with a pretty bow. That's,
wonderful. Check out the Ask a CPA community.
Yes,
see if it's something that can help you.
CPA, which is fun, because like the .CPA ending was something that AI CPA came up with for CPA firms. And I was like, oh, that would be so fun. But the dancingaccountant.com is already so well known. And
that's true.
My husband was like, what about ask.CPA? I went, oh, I never even thought about that. So that's pretty exciting. And then She Counts, of course, is at shecounts.show, SHOW. Please come visit us. I would love to see people in those spaces.
Excellent. Nancy, thank you once again for taking the time for us and for Ace Cloud, and really appreciate you and everything you do.
You too, Seth. I'm so glad that we're in this industry together.
Absolutely.